All right. Okay, so we're back. William Golding. Yeah, I was just watching Lord of the Flies. William Golding. I mean, probably you read this book if you're older than 20. You probably read this book in high school or something. So it's like a good book to check out. And yeah, I was watching this documentary about Lord of the Flies kind of just sat. It was like submitted and just sat like waiting for like a long time. What happened? Okay, so yeah, so William Golding. Let's see. So yeah, he's so look and get all these emails. What the hell's all this stuff? Okay, great. Thank you. William Golding. He was born in 1911. Uh, well, Lord of the Flies came out in 54. There was like a movie. Lord of the Flies 54. It's his first book, but Darkness Visible. He wrote Rites of Passage in 1980. Won the Booker Prize. He won the Nobel Prize in 83. So best known, Lord of the Flies came out in 54, and there was a movie in the 60s. Like it was pretty good. There's a couple versions of Lord of the Flies in the film. So yeah, let's read a little bit. Let's read the opening here. Lord of the Flies. Okay, the sound of the shell. You remember that? The boy with the fair hair lowered himself down the last few feet of rock and began to pick his way towards the lagoon. Though he had taken off his school sweater and trailed it now from one hand, his gray shirt stuck to him, and his hair was plastered to his forehead. All around him, the long scars smashed into the jungle was a bath of heat. He was clambering heavily among the creepers and broken trunks when a bird, a vision of red and yellow, flashed upwards with a witch like cry, and this cry was echoed by another. Hi, it said, wait a minute. The undergrowth at the side of the scar was shaken, and a multitude of raindrops felt pattering. Wait a minute, the voice said. I got caught up. The fair boy stopped and jerked his stocking with a automatic gesture that made the jungle seem for a moment like home countries. The voice spoke again. I can't hardly move with all these creeper things. So, I mean, it's just pretty standard. It's a little bit antiquated. I mean, this book is only like 180 pages. I mean, you could probably read it in like 1 or 2 days. So, but it's like something that they still teach in school. It's a very teachable book because it's about adolescence and stuff. So let's just talk about what happened in this book. Lord of the Flies explores the dark side of humanity, the savagery that underlies even the most civilized human beings. William Golding intended this novel as a tragic parody of children's adventure tales, illustrating humankind's intrinsic evil nature. He presents the reader with a chronology of events, leading a group of young boys from hope to disaster as they attempt to survive their uncivilized, unsupervised, isolated environment until rescued. In the midst of a nuclear war, a group of British boys find themselves stranded without adult supervision on a tropical island. This group is roughly divided into the little ones, boys around ages 6, and the big ones, who are between the ages of 10 and 12. Initially, the boys attempt to form a similar culture to the one they left behind. They elect the leader, Ralph, who, with support and advice of Piggy, the intellectual of the group, strives to establish rules for housing and sanitation. Ralph also makes a signal fire the group's first priority, hoping that a passing ship might see the smoke signal and rescue them. A major challenge to Ralph's leadership is Jack, who also wants to lead. Jack commands a group of choir boys turned hunters who sacrifice the duty of the tending of the fire so they can participate in a hunt. Jack draws the other boys slowly away from Ralph's influence because the natural attraction to and inclination towards the adventure hunting activity symbolizes violence and evil. The conflict between Ralph and Jack and the forces of savagery and civilization that they represent is exacerbated by the boys' literal fear of a mythical beast roaming in the island. One night, an aerial battle occurs above the island, and a casualty of the battle floats down with his open parachute, ultimately coming to rest on the mountaintop. Breezes occasionally inflate the parachute, making the body appear to sit up and sink forward again. The sight panics the boys as they mistake the dead body for the beast they fear. In reaction to this panic, Jack forms a splinter group that is eventually joined by all but a few boys. The boys who join Jack are enticed by the protection Jack's ferocity seems to provide, as well as the prospect of playing the role of savages, putting on camouflaging, face paint, hunting, and performing ritualistic tribal dances. Eventually, Jack's group actually slaughters a sow and, as an offering to the beast, puts the sow's head on a stick. Of all the boys, only the mystic Simon has the courage to discover the true identity of the beast, siding on the mountain. After witnessing the death of a sow and the gift made of their head of the beast, Simon begins to hallucinate, and the staked sow's head becomes the Lord of the Flies, imparting to Simon what he has already suspected. The beast is not an animal on the loose, but is hidden in each boy's psyche. Weakened by this horrific vision, Simon loses consciousness. Recovering later that evening, he struggles to the mountaintop and finds the beast is only a dead soldier. Attempting to bring the news to the other boys, he stumbles in the tribal frenzy of their dance. Perceiving him as the beast, the boys beat him to death. Soon, only 3 of the older boys, including Piggy, are still in Ralph's camp, and Jack's group steals Piggy's glasses to start cooking fires, leaving Ralph unable to maintain his signal fire. When Ralph and a small group approach Jack's tribe to request the return of the glasses, one of Jack's hunters releases a huge boulder on Piggy, killing him. The tribe captures the other 2 Begans prisoners, leaving Ralph on his own. The tribe undertakes a manhunt to track down and kill Ralph, and they start a fire to smoke him out of one of his hiding places, creating an island-wide forest fire. A passing ship sees the smoke from the fire, and a British naval officer arrives on the beach just in time to save Ralph from a certain death at the hand of the schoolboys. So, yeah, so there we have you know, an ending and stuff. So there was probably a lot of editing with this book, because I mean, but now it's kind of seen like, like when, something you should read, like Alice in Wonderland and Wind in the Willows, and and then, so, but it's it's a pretty good book to check out and to read. And, I have a couple copies of it, and, so maybe one day I'll write my tribute to Lord of the Flies by William Golding.